Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the toxic behavior tier list. One of the really common questions that I get for various different BM behaviors is, how BM is it? Because you can be different levels of BM. Things could be slightly BM, or they could be super duper BM. And we're going to try to break it down here. And I will be asking the chat their opinions on stuff. If you're watching this from the YouTube video, feel free to weigh in and tell us if you think something deserves to be on a different tier. As you can see in this handy dandy notepad document, I have a whole bunch of different things that we just thought of leading into this discussion that we would consider to be maybe BM. And we're going to go through one by one and decide what tier they should go to. So for fun, whenever I call one of these things out in the chat, feel free to just say what you think it is. And let's just start from the top here. So the first one we've got is slurs. Now, these would be derogatory terms for demographics of humans. This could be racial slurs, slurs regarding someone's orientation, that kind of thing. I would say, and just to define the way the tiers are going to work, this is about how mean, despicable, and disrespectful the behavior is. Basically, if you were to play Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, how many dark side points would you get? S tier would be the most dark side points, it's the most BM, and it's the most evil. And then we have C tier, which is kind of weak BM, and then just straight up not BM. Some of these we might not end up putting in any of the BM tiers. So to start it off, slurs, I think I'm going to go probably with an S tier here, just in terms of how hateful and nasty it is. I do agree with the chat that it's not creative. Like, you didn't really think of anything clever with it, for sure, but it does perpetuate a lot of negative stereotypes in a really hateful and evil way. So I'm going to put this in S tier personally. Let's get a font size that's not going to take up the whole goddamn screen. Okay, got this one here. All right, we've got offensive GG. Offensive GG, how BM do you think it is? It's a pretty simple one. It's only 2 letters, and this would be whenever you are ahead, something good happens, and you type GG because you think that it's over and you're announcing that to your opponent. I would say this is pretty BM. It's not super BM. And it's not a heavy investment in chat. I would probably say I'm between B or C on offensive GG. We've got some A's in the chat. Some people think it's S. Okay, so I was between B and C. We've got a lot of A's in the chat. So I think I'll put it on B tier, pulling it up from my B to C average. I'm also just not going to put commas because Paint doesn't really remember these text boxes. So slurs gets a comma. Offensive GG. All right. Now we've got Manor Mule. Where do you think Manor Mule goes? It's whenever, this is a Terran specific one. Well, the funny thing is Terran has so many ways to easily BM people by throwing their orbital command energy at people. Manor Muling, how rude is it? We've got C's and B's. Colt is a Terran main and he says A. Because it can be pretty tilting. And for people who don't understand the mechanic, maybe you're not a StarCraft player and you're following me for WoW or Dota. Manor Muling is when you drop a mule, which is a robot that gives you minerals really fast, and you're just throwing that onto the battlefield in a way that you're wasting the unit by showboating and saying, I don't need the minerals from this. I'm just throwing away units in your face because I've beaten you that hard. Yeah, I think B. B is pretty fair. It's a bad practice, and one of the reasons why I would recommend against Terran players doing this, not just because it's rude, because sometimes the match is actually closer than you think, and if you Manor Mule and the game is close enough that now the opponent has caught up because you wasted the minerals and you lose, you'll be counted among the silliest people of all time. So a lot of people don't want to be put in that category. So don't manner mule. It's pretty disrespectful. Let's put that at B tier here. Manner mule. All right. Now we've got BM buildings. This is like floating your buildings to the corner of the map. That would be whenever a Terran realizes they're dead and they're just trying to force the match to be a few minutes longer by flying their stuff to all the corners of the map. Oftentimes they'll type when they're doing this, but right now let's just focus on the idea of floating the buildings around to the corners to waste someone else's time. I will say, as a side note, if there is a legitimate base race scenario and you are trying to kill all their buildings before they kill yours, it is a legitimate tactic for Terran. So if Terran is floating their buildings to the corner mid base race, I would put that in the not BM category. A lot of working people are rating this as being A tier. Yeah, if you think about it, people's time is money. And if you're dragging out a match, that's time that they could have spent having more recreational time or just getting some more work done. You have building float in there twice. Oh, BM buildings, I'm sorry. That's a different idea. That's like GG pylons. I should have clarified that. But we can do that one next. So let's say we got building float. Terran building float. All right, we got that at A tier. And then we've got like the GG pylons. This is the BM buildings I was talking about. And this one would be whenever you're very ahead and you start making buildings to like spell out GG on the map, or easy with pylons. You can also do easy with pylons. You could do that with supply depots as well. Or you could just spam buildings mid-map. So this is you're spamming buildings to rustle people. A lot of people in chat are saying A. We got some B's, we got some C's. Got some C tier. Let's just average it out and go with B here. Okay, GG pylons. We'll just call it GG pylons. You can remember what I meant by that. Okay, so we've got playing random and lying about your race. This one is rare. It's very rare because already random is the less common of the things you can queue into. Whenever you say, good luck, have fun, I'm Terran, this is so funny because a lot of people, they go into a game like StarCraft and they have the innocence and they have the naivete of thinking that, hey, that's nice of them to tell me their race. What a lad or lass, what a nice person. And you say, okay, well, this is my ZVT build. And you do your ZVT build and then 10 lings just run into your base. And you are just very confused. You're like, I thought they said Terran, and now there are lings in my base. You think it's not BM, you think it's a strategical advantage. Ah, interesting. Scouting is part of SC2. Some people playing it hardcore, they're saying it's an advantage they have. Marco says whenever I tell them the truth, they don't believe me anyway. Some people think it's not BM. It could be a strat. That's interesting. I consider it BM. I would say, because say this is someone who I'm going to meet at an event later, I would never forget that. If Colt randomed against me on ladder and he told me that he was Zerg or something, and then he did a Terran or Protoss cheese to me, I would be upset. I wouldn't be like, oh, that was very clever of you. I'd be like, bro, like I thought we were bros. I thought we were cool, man. I'm going to put it on B tier. I think it is BM. Lying. I'll just space it. Lying about random race. We'll put it B. Okay. Oh, BM pause. BM pause. And this one is specifically where it's not a pause that you need to go to the bathroom and then you come back, or a pause where you need to get the door and then you come back in a short time frame. This is when you like pause on pause, pause on pause, pause on pause when you're winning, or during a fight to disrupt your opponent. Or this happens a lot in Dota. After something really bad happens for the enemy team, you just pause right then. I would put it at S tier. It breaks tournament rules, and it's extremely disruptive to the flow of the action. A lot of the typing and the words and stuff, you can still play out the match, so it does give the BMer a cost that puts them behind. But the manner pause, it disrupts the flow where they actually can't continue to play the game until they unpause it. So I would put manner pausing at S tier. I think it's super duper BM. Okay. Sus unpause while AFK. I'm just going to lump this in with manner pause and tell you a story about this one. So I was playing against a Protoss and they paused the game at the start, but they said nothing. And I was like, maybe their keyboard's having a problem or something. Huh. And I asked them a question. I was like, hey, need a sec, keyboard issue, whatever. And they didn't say anything. So I was like, okay, I want to go refill my water. And when I stepped away from my computer, they unpaused the game and started setting up a cannon rush. I sat back down in my chair, looked at my monitor, and there were cannons just all over my screen. So that's one example of that. Also put that S tier. I'll just lump it in with manner pause. Another fun story that I have was Imba coaching versus Spanishiwa. Both StarCraft streamers. This is back in Heart of the Swarm. Spanishiwa is streaming, Imba Coach is streaming, Spanishiwa Zerg, Imba Coaching is Terran. And Imba Coaching says, pause please, 30 seconds. And this is back in the olden times when a lot of streamers would have only one monitor, and Spanishiwa just tabbed out. So he couldn't see his OBS and his StarCraft at the same time, so he tabbed to his OBS, and he was like, hey chat, how are you doing today? Appreciate everyone watching the stream. Yeah, I'm playing against Imba Coaching. Oh, it's good to see you in the chat. Yeah, how's it going? And then he tabs back in, and Imba Coaching has a Marine tank push dead between his natural and third, just set. And he unpauses, and that army's like already blowing up all of his shit. He unpaused. He said, pause please, 30 seconds. And after like 4 seconds, he unpaused it and then rushed over to set up the attack. I was watching this on stream, and I was like, I never even thought that someone would do that. Like, that's so shameless and fucked up. But he did it. That's S tier. That's super BM. Okay. Dragging out the game when you're very, very ahead. Very ahead, clearly able to just A move and win, but you don't. And you just make buildings. This is kind of linked in with the BM buildings or GG pylons. What tier would you put dragging out the match intentionally? Same thing as Terran flying away. Some people think A to S. Intentionally A, time has value. You don't think it's BM. Well, then what's the point of doing that? I would say because sometimes it's unclear that you can actually end the game due to fog of war. I would say that it's maybe on the lower end of BM, but it can vary based on what you're actually doing with that wasted time. I'd probably put it at C tier, because sometimes it's BM, sometimes they legit don't know that they can close the game. Yeah. You can still take bases and you can still do stuff. So let's say dragging out the game is C. All right. Griefing an ally in teams. So this would be when you're sending your workers to attack their workers right at the start in StarCraft, or in a recent example I saw in Dota was there was a healer Omni Knight on our team, and one of the Omni Knight's allies was in big trouble, and the Omni Knight could have cast a spell to make him invulnerable to physical or to just heal him. And what he did was like a high five BM. Like he just waved at them as they died instead of helping using an ability. So griefing teams, people are saying is S tier. Super toxic. You're completely ruining the game. Sometimes I have to stick to a certain strategy given to them by chat. I will say I'm guilty of that one in the sense that sometimes I have like a mass spore turtle strategy. I do try to end the game if I have the ability to win with it. But yeah, if I'm going for something specific, a lot of streamers do farm content doing certain stuff that could be some level of frustrating or toxic to people. Okay, so we're going to go griefing. Just put it at S tier. Griefing allies in teams. Let's make sure this is very clearly at the top or upper end of this. Okay. Griefing allies in teams. Neural worker to build enemy army. Is it toxic? If so, how toxic? We've got C tier, we've got not BM. If you're that far ahead, yes. We've got not BM, it's like dragging out the game. A lot of people saying not BM. You would put C. It's a legit strat in the game. Only works with probes. Yeah, with an SCV, it takes way too many. You'd go with C. Yeah, it's very lightly BM. I would agree with that. If you're able to grab their worker for that long and they can't stop you, that usually means that you're kind of dragging it out. I would agree with that. Okay, so C tier it. But it's definitely a crowd pleaser too, so a lot of streamers get asked to do that. So I'm not going to be mad at someone if they're doing that for fun. Neural worker to build army. Kind of a long description. Okay. Let's go. Someone said barcode, like barcoding. Is that toxic? And if so, how much? I would say that it's not toxic. It can incentivize people's ability to be toxic or allow them to get away with it. But I don't think it's inherently BM. I think some people just do it because they want to hide their cheesy strats. Yeah, we'll say barcoding is not inherently BM. You have less of a reputation to defend if you barcode because there's no name attached to it. We'll just put barcoding down there. Okay. Stream sniping. So this, to be clear, between stream sniping and stream cheating. Stream sniping is when you try to queue against a streamer, but you don't have their stream playing to see what they're doing. You just try to match up against them. Stream cheating is when you're looking at it as well. Which it's hard to know for sure which one they're doing. Sniping is A. I feel like slur should be its own tier. It's in the maximum tier. Stream sniping against Trisha is S. Okay, let's just put stream cheating in S. I think everyone agrees with that. I have been stream cheated off many times. There was a really funny time whenever I got... I was getting stream sniped and stream cheated off of multiple times, and I started talking to the person who was stream cheating off of me, and they actually left the match out of shame.
Yeah, whoa, whoa, yeah, whoa, dude, whoa, whoa.
I thought I muted the alerts, but apparently I did not. Thank you, Colt, for the gifted subscribe. He's a coworker of yours. Nice. Sniping is arguably not BM. I think it is toxic to the extent when you could just ask them to play a custom game. Unless you say, would you be upset if I try to queue against you? So I'm going to put stream sniping at... I think I'm going to put it at... kind of between A and B. I feel like it's a low A, high B. Use social skills. Just ask for customs. I had someone ask me for custom games Thursday. A nice tear named Dice. He said, hey, Neuro, would you be down for some custom games? And I said, sure, dude. And then we played some 1v1s, which are the same format as ladder. That person could have instead just watched my stream and waited until I hit play, and then they hit it at the same time and tried to get me. But they didn't do that. I appreciate that. When you think about when we play, you turn off the stream, but I can consider it sniping. It's not sniping is when there's not consent involved, I would say. Okay, let's put stream sniping at A. It is pretty sleazy. I don't really like stream sniping. Okay, bragging about yourself about how good you are. This actually happened in the 4v4 game I played with Trisha yesterday. There was someone who was talking about how much better they were than their teammates, and they were basically bashing their teammates and blaming their bad luck for all the bad team players, and they're stuck because the quality of randos in 4v4 is so bad, but they're just so great. So bragging about oneself to your opponent or opponents. If you do it once, would you even notice? So we're not talking about on the receiving end because it's really difficult for me to know for sure whether I've been stream sniped. I'm talking about for the own person's conscience and for like what actually happened. Like how toxic was it? Suggestion, alternate text colors for clarity with tight packing of text. That's a good suggestion, but it is too late. To degrade teammates, it's S because they are just a shitty person. It's close to griefing A tier. Imagine queuing 4v4 and taking things seriously. Yeah, it's a mode that's made for fun. They didn't balance StarCraft around 4v4, so it is something that is made more for fun rather than to be super fair competition. Let's go with... yeah, bragging about oneself. It's pretty petty. It's pretty low. Is it more than these? Yeah, I think it's more investment than the B tier. This one, I see the tactical reason for it, but it's still sleazy. Let's go with gloating bragging. We'll say bragging is fine. This would also include whenever you're winning and you start talking about how much better you are than someone else. Yeah, this is definitely A tier if you put it in that context. Flooding chat. So this is when you put big walls of stuff. Just, I've had this happen during an Agent Smith. For people who saw the Neuro subathon, I put on it's like the History of India episode of World Discussion. And during one of my ladder matches, someone was just like, a wall of text of slurs and a symbol that I don't really need to mention, but it was just like packing the whole screen, and they were just Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. A to B. It's easy to mute, but the intent is A tier. It depends on what the text is. You can't see a big part of the screen. And it does require the person to go to an out-of-game menu to stop it. I would say it's A tier, yeah. Flooding chat. Okay, we got this one at A tier. Building floating, we already got. Linking your stream in-game. Whew. Just to get this out of the way, if you have good rapport with another streamer and you link the other person's stream to promote them and then they link yours, I do that when I face Golden and Vibe sometimes, or like Sal, like people who I'm really cool with and we're bros, like we rate each other, that kind of thing. Or if I was like in a team game with Trisha or something and they didn't know that Trisha streamed and they knew me, or vice versa. They didn't know who Neuro was, but they knew who Trisha was. If you link other people's stream in a positive context to help people discover other channels they might like, I think that's not BM at all. That's really wholesome and cool. This is specifically, and there's an example that I have in mind of a streamer who I will not mention here just to not bring drama. They set up a cannon rush between my bases and then link their stream in the chat. I think that's very BM. You set up a cannon rush, the base is gonna die, you link your stream. Yeah, I think that's S. Okay. Linking your stream in chat. Let's condense this. Okay. Sounds based. I don't know about that. It's pretty gross. You think if you promote your own stream, I think if you ask, hey, can I link my stream? And the other person says yes, I would put it in the not BM at all tier. If you don't ask and you do it specifically whenever you get ahead, that's super BM. Yeah, I think that's a fair breakdown of that one. All right, we've got showing up in a streamer's chat who you just beat. This is kind of in the same category as bragging and gloating. Yeah. I mentioned it before we started the recording for the video. I've had a person who I face who, when I win, they don't GG. And when they win, they'll be all chummy and like discussing the match and like giving advice and stuff. Blech. Gross. Yeah. I think we'll just put it the same as bragging and gloating. It's kind of the same behavior, just to save space. But I would put it at A tier. Because I think someone could just socially not think of it, and they're not intentionally trying to piss the person off. But if you think about the situation, it is pretty BM. Okay. Dancing units during a push. Is dancing units that bad? That's what we're trying to figure out right now. If you're dancing your units, S tier, B tier. You can dance your units. I would say this both includes the slash dance mechanic in StarCraft, the units that actually do an animation, and then also when you like stutter step them in a way that's clearly not for micro, just to show off, which can also be done in Dota. You think it's the same level as Manor Mule? C at best. Yeah, I think it's similar to this, because it's a waste of resources. And you could say dancing your units is a waste of the time of the units that you're dancing. Okay, let's B tier. I like that. Okay. Okay, got here spamming question mark. So this would be whenever an opponent makes a mistake, like say they go for a drop and the drop like flies into some missile turrets or a spore and it dies and it gets no damage. And then you just question mark spam. Like, what were you doing? Is kind of what it's saying. Where would you put that one? It's a classic. Koreans do it to each other, but their friends maybe B. It's Omega S tier. You hate it in League of Legends. Some people are saying S to this one. It depends on the context of the question marks. Some people are saying C. I would say it feels a little bit like a B to C for me. Because it's a fairly low investment. You're only using one key and you maybe just hold it down. But it is definitely rude in a lot of cases. It's Mario beyond banter. C? Question mark, question mark, question mark? Yeah, maybe C. I think it's between B and C. It's like a low B, high C. We'll put it here just because there's more room. Okay. Is it good to be more toxic than the toxic opponent so you win in every possible way? No. I think it's better to outmaneuver them by being bulletproof positive to neutral, where you just don't even budge, so that their toxicity is like a fruit fly next to your massive rhinoceros self. That's how I think about it. They're trying to get you to stoop to their icky bug level, but you are a stegosaurus of respect that is so heavy and large that you aren't even slightly perturbed. Okay. Oh, what was the one we're on? We already did GG pylons and buildings. Dad/mom accusations. So this is like your mom is promiscuous, your dad is not successful, your parents did these sexual things, that kind of stuff, where it's like specifically trying to upset your familial relationships. Another example people said was like your ex-relative doesn't love you, kind of a thing. Your mom goes to college. This is weird to me too, because that was like what people used to insult back in middle school. There was someone who said a like dad mom thing to me. Actually recently, Callion, you remember this? There was someone who was stream sniping Ruff over and over, and they played against me while Batman was summoned. And at the start of the match, I'm in character. I said, I'm Batman, which most people would not consider to be BM. And I don't consider it to be BM. And they said, in reply, your mom is Batman. I don't think that's very BM either, but it is your mom thing. Let's just put family insults. It's like a B. It feels pretty mid because it could hard miss. Like it could just not affect the person, or it could hit someone who actually does have trauma and difficulty in that, and that could really hurt. So it's like it could be an S, but it could be a hard miss. So I'll put it kind of in the middle here. Family insults. Stegosaurus, that shit. That's some saying that I came up with Trisha whenever there's just a bunch of leafy greens to eat. And it's not really a full salad anymore. It's just whatever's left over. Or they give you a salad that just has entirely too much kale. Just way too much. It's like 90% kale. It's like they just had way too much that they ordered at the restaurant, and they're trying to sell it as a salad just to get rid of it. Your mom is C tier. Oof. I have a very nice mom. Thank you very much. Can you put it in both? Family insults? You could. Yeah. I can just leave it at B as the average, though. But I agree with you. We can acknowledge that it can cut super deep or it can hard miss, depends on the target audience. And the thing about this toxic behavior is you don't know the other person well enough for this insult to work every time. It's like a shotgun insult, where it's just, you throw out a bunch of random stuff that maybe pisses them off, maybe it doesn't. Let's go ad hominem. So you're bad, you're shit, you're trash. Insulting the opponent's ability or their intelligence. So you're insulting stuff about them that's related to their ability. Ad hominem attacks, what do you rate them? Ooh, balance whining. Thank you. That's not on the list. Thank you. Good one. People think A tier. C, they're usually correct. Marco, you're cool. I give you self-esteem boosts. You're a righteous dude. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them haters. All right. Ad hominem attack, we can say is A tier. Ad hominem means to the man. It means attacking that particular person. It's Latin. Oh, another thing. Tell me this is an agree or disagree question. Whenever someone is losing hardcore and you're about to win and they start personally attacking you, it's funny and you don't get mad. That's how it is for me. If I'm winning and they like talk shit to me, it just makes it comedy. Like whenever the person had lings in all their bases and they said, GG, no sex boy. And I laughed. That was really funny. All right. Going AFK. This could be pausing and going AFK. This could be just like not being there at the start of the match or abandoning your teammates in a team game and just going AFK and not paying attention and not saying anything. Also, going AFK in a raid if you're playing like WoW or something. C tier, people are saying. Okay. All right. Chat's pretty on board with that one. How about a super long pause? Like, let's say you're pausing for 4 minutes or more. Now, we'll say 3 minutes or more in a 1v1 or in a team game. You've got other people waiting. A lot of people say cheesing is BM. I'll put it on the list and we'll talk about it. Super long pause with no context, correct. Falls under time wasting. Is unpausing BM? We can add that one to the list of stuff we talk about. Unpausing. Unintentional BM. How long do you give before you unpause? So because I stream, it's kind of content when people do that, so sometimes I'll let it go for a while. Yeah. I would say long pause is pretty rude because you're in a very fast-paced game. At least we're talking about StarCraft, Dota, League of Legends, games where you can pause. Can you pause in League of Legends? Games that are really fast-paced and it really disrupts the flow of what's going on. Also, this shit is for imaginary MMR points anyway, so if you really need to go, and you need to go for more than 5 minutes, you should just surrender the match and move on, in my opinion. I'll put it at, that's like a high B, low A. Yeah, we'll say super long pause. Okay. Matchup leaving. So this is when someone has, I see there's a Terran who I face on ladder pretty often who does this, and I called him matchup leaver over and over again when we last faced, but he quits his TVTs. And that means that for his MMR, his TVZ and his TVP are super, super, super duper strong because they refuse the TVT. Some people say S, some people say not BM. It's smurfing. I think, do I have just generally smurfing on here? We can kind of lump this in with smurfing, I guess. Some people say worse than BM. It's definitely smurfing. Everyone gets their points back. Some people just really hate the matchup. I think it is definitely smurfing. You get a 66% chance of getting free points and 33% of losing points. On the receiving end of me fighting that one person who matchup leads their TVT, it basically means that I have a super hard game for someone who's lower MMR than me, but they're like not accurate with their MMR. So for me, it still feels gross. And I always have to play out the match. They don't leave the match against me some of the time. And even then, I don't like that. I guess we can just talk about Smurf overall. What would you say smurfing is? Smurfing as a toxic behavior where your MMR does not match your skill that you're bringing to the table. And obviously, it can vary based on the amount. You could have a GM smurfing on a bronze. You could have a master smurfing on a platinum. You think it's S. Smurf is S to you. A lot of people are saying smurfing is straight up S. It's annoying, but it's not overly hurtful. You've been accused of it when your MMR is due to low due to inactivity. I do think for someone to have a secondary account where they practice different styles isn't inherently wrong. Like say you're just for example, a Bioterran and you have an account where you only play mech. The MMR might be different from that. I would consider that not BM. But you might overall have a higher skill level. A lot of people are saying S, but I think for me, it's more of an A tier because I think there are reasons why people might do that. And it doesn't need to necessarily be toxic in other ways. So let's break it down in two ways. We'll say alt account or practice account. I'll say it's not BM. And that's for practicing different strats than you normally do. So the MMR might be a couple hundred off. I have multiple accounts where some of my accounts I'm talking while I'm playing, and then this account I'm microphone muted. So I have a different condition for the two accounts. They're different MMR by about 200 to 300 normally. Yeah, anti-barcode, the MMR on that account got reset, which meant that I did have to effectively be a Smurf until the MMR got fixed. That was not intentional from me, but it did end up like meaning that it wasn't a fair match and I was doing like silly builds and stuff. So we'll put Smurfing in A just generally because it is very upsetting to a lot of people who want a fair game. For sure, and that's valid. Okay, we got Smurfing on A tier. We did the matchup leaving, we lump in with Smurf. Account boosting is basically just Smurf, we'll just lump that in. Insulting one's family, we got that one. This is ad hominem, we got that one. This is slurs. Recommendation of self-harm, this is an easy S. Some people have seen KYS and stuff in chat. It's like super fucked up. Multiple of my best friends from college and stuff have passed by suicide, so it is very unfunny to me. And a lot of people experience depression and have a lot of trauma in their life. So it's not something to joke about. And if someone is having a bad time, that's like twisting a really horrible knife. So let's just say self-harm. Recommendation. Or just calls. Shorten the text. Wishing someone ill. Wishing someone ill, a lot of... This seems like it's more of an EU server thing, but they say get cancer on EU. It's not really on NA very much, because it's like a very specific illness to wish someone to get, but there are a lot of different types of cancer that a person could get. I would say it's S tier as well. You're basically like wishing doom upon them, like bad physical things to happen to someone. Wishing someone ill. Super BM. There is a cute version of this that that people will joke about sometimes. We do it in this stream sometimes of like, I hope you stub your toe, or I hope you step on a Lego. Like those ones where you're not actually gonna really do serious harm to someone, but you're hoping that they're mildly inconvenienced. I hope you have a very long line for the next thing you have to purchase. Those kind of jokes. Jake, what the hell? J-Dub, thank you for the raid. You joined us during our toxic behavior tier list. We just got wishing someone ill. Chat rush. So the next one is chat rush, which would be you're setting up a cheese and you're typing to them and asking them questions where you're trying to get them to type at you instead of thinking about the build. People do this to me sometimes. They're like, oh my gosh, are you the real Neuro? Oh, are you streaming right now? Oh, big fan. How's your day going? And then 12 Marines run into my base. Smurfing we put on A tier. Chat rush is a legit strategy. Don't hate, no BM. Some people are saying B tier. Some people are saying not BM. Not BM, real tactic. What about dropping a ridiculous amount of nukes on the opponent? There you go. It's not BM. That's for our boys J-Dub and Callion. Okay. Let's go with chat rush's C tier. I would say it's obnoxious. At least when I die to it, I feel like it's a pretty shady way to win. And it makes me feel bad for being too nice. I feel like people are capitalizing on generosity and like friendliness. I'm putting chat rush at C tier. Maybe you think it's not BM, but know that if you do it to me, it's annoying. And I will remember you until the end of time. All right. Scan spam. Whenever you have a bunch of orbital energy and you just flood their screen with scans. Not where you're scanning to clear creep, but when you scan the same spot so much that it blinds them. They can't even see. C tier. B tier. That's funny, C tier. If you scan all the bases, C. Yeah, I don't think it's BM if you're getting information with each one. That's a strat, though. It blocks the dot. If you're using it for a tactical reason, I would say it's not BM. But for people to use it to nuke dot is rare relative to the number of spam I see. Let's put it at C. There are cases where it's not BM, though. Scan spam. Okay. And then we have balance whining. So this would be when someone is discrediting the person earning the victory, and you're saying that, okay, well, you just got lucky that your race is favored here, or in the case of Dota heroes, your hero is overpowered, or whatever. You're trying to remove the hard work and the effort of the person who's winning and saying you didn't actually deserve that. It was just balance. Zerg OP. Chat saying C to B. Colt would say C. You would say C because the person winning you don't think is affected by it much. It is obnoxious, though, whenever it's someone who you know and it feels like you can't ever win a fair game against them. I'll put it on B. I think it's more so than these. Like clearly it's above C tier. I would actually put it maybe high B. High B, low A. Let's put it here. Just put it kind of between the tiers. Balance whining. Okay. Is there a tier for pathetic whining? Well, I guess you could lump it in with balance whining. What are ad hominem attacks again? Personal attacks. Basically, you're bad, you're shit, you're stupid, you're worthless, you're just like degradation. Degrading the person you're talking to in particular. All right. And then we've got cheesing. To cheese someone, as in to go for an early game rush build that has a defense that people could do to hold it. Is cheesing BM? If so, what tier? Chat is saying not BM. Not BM. Not BM. And that's how we learned that the chat is full of cheesers. Just kidding. Yeah, I agree though. Cheesing is not BM. Cheesing is a viable strategy. If you want to attack early, that is fair and that is fine. Idra would disagree with you, but I agree, cheesing is not BM. Okay, we've got unpausing the game when someone requested a pause. This one happens in Dota a lot more than in StarCraft. In Dota, I think it's more serious because you can have a player disconnect and Dota allows people to pause for time to reconnect. Some people will refuse that pause and they'll just keep trying to unpause immediately. Or if someone says BRB door and maybe they legit in StarCraft need 30 seconds to go get the door, pick up a delivery, whatever. You unpause when the opposing team talks shit. If they pause and immediately talk shit, I would agree that's a fair time to unpause because they're pausing to BM and you're denying them that. Pause wars in Dota. Okay, so we'll say unpause. Unpause is S to A. I think it's A. Nah. Yeah, I would say I'm going to bump it off of S just because you are signing up for a very fast-paced game. So for you to want to keep playing is understandable. It would be nice if you respected the pause in the other person's time, but I can see why you want the fast tempo stuff. So we'll say unpausing. Manner pausing is S tier. It's on the list, yeah. Another one you would add is intentional throwing. Yeah, we have griefing. I would say griefing is intentionally throwing. You'll unpause if your opponent pauses and doesn't say PP or anything. Yeah, if they don't say anything, if you unpause in a StarCraft game after 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that seems fair. Because a lot of StarCraft games only last 5 minutes. So if you're pausing for more than the duration of a short StarCraft match, that's too much. Can you draw some colored lines to separate the tiers? Yeah, sure. Let's get a nice paintbrush here. Let's get this. This. Here. This is a nice line here. Whoop. Nice line here. I put this one between the tiers. this, and this. Beautiful. Look at those lines. Use the line tool and hold shift. Line tool? What does shift do? Oh, for the, oh, oops. Oh, that makes it flat? Oh. Oh. I didn't even know you could do that. Dude, MS Paint is more powerful than I even realized. Dude, that looks fucking clean, bro. Damn. Look at this aesthetic list. Damn. Look at that firm line. Jeez. Flat, vertical, and 45s. My MS Paint skills are now 2+. Great. Well, cool. We covered all the stuff in the list. Last second, are there any things that we didn't address that you want to include? Otherwise, we're going to call this good. And you're free to disagree with any of the things that are on this list. This is just kind of the combination of my thoughts plus chat weighing in. And some of them we just kind of took the average of chat's opinion. But these are some of the different toxic gaming behaviors we could think of in video games and basically how toxic we think that they are. We got most of the ones I've seen in chat. I put balance winding between A and B. Do you already have calling someone a cheater? Ooh, no, actually. Cheating accusation. Dude, one of the funniest ones that I've gotten in StarCraft is people saying that I have a mineral hack. Does that even exist? I don't even think that exists. Cheating accusation. How BM is a cheating accusation? Hackusation. It used to be a thing in WoW? I don't know. I feel like people had so little understanding of how macro works back in WoW that if a person figured out how to make workers constantly, they would seem like they have a worker hack or mineral hack. Does SC have any hacks at this point? So the way that I understand it is the reason that your StarCraft has updates that happen really often is because it shuffles code, which breaks any existing hacks. So hacking StarCraft is very hard to do. And if you do achieve it, it gets broken with the next update. So the hacking scene is very minuscule in StarCraft. And also, the tempo of the game is so fast that most people who just want to pick up a hack, they're just so bad at everything else in the game that they can't really go up the ladder that much. Like, you won't see anyone hacking their way into the pro scene. Because players like Maru, Byun, Raynor, Serral, Stats, Zest, they're playing too fast to lose to someone like that. Let's say Hackusation is like a C. It feels pretty weak to me. Hackusation. Where's the text size? Auto aim. We're not talking about if someone is actually hacking. I guess you could say that, but hacking would be an S tier toxic behavior. If you actually did hack. Because you're disrespecting the nature of competition. Hacking. Sure. Jada was saying that hacking or StarCraft has server verification, which means the moves are verified by the server. So hacking is hard to do. Huh. Telling your race as random late. BM. I know that Rotterdam has complained about it because of how the Protoss walling off goes, but really it's only a problem for Protoss. Unless you have like extremely different builds for each of the three races. But you can just play safe. I would say, yeah, we can just say not telling races random. I think it's not BM. I think giving the person what your race is like giving them a present that they didn't really earn. Say it's not BM. Telling race is not required. We already covered spamming chat. Hostage holding lost team games. Yes, dragging out game. Cool. Well, this is fun. We have a toxic behavior tier list now. May it be set into stone. Thanks everyone in chat for weighing in. And if you are watching this from the YouTube video, feel free to leave a comment if you think something should be in a different tier, or if you want to share which ones you find particularly annoying, or ones that maybe we said are BM that you don't think are BM. Feel free. And remember, the people you're being toxic toward are real people who exist in the world, and they also share your hobby for playing the video games that we love. So don't be an asshat. Stop being toxic. It's obnoxious. And you can improve the world by not being a pooper scooper. Thanks.